From day one of this series, I told you that I wouldn't sugarcoat anything. So, here's the truth. Trying to fit in is draining the life out of you and you know it. Welcome back to the Beyond Limits podcast. This is your host, Alexia George. This past week or so, I was dealing with a little cold, so I'm just glad to be back and fully able to give you all my energy today. Today, we're calling out the people pleasers. It's almost 2026, the year you stop shaping yourself into what the world wants and finally become who you respect. So, quick housekeeping before we get started today. Um, I've been posting weekly quotes on my Instagram page as well as daily quotes on my Twitter, so you guys can have a sense of daily motivation while you're waiting for the next episode to be released the following Monday. I think it's a great way to stay locked in throughout the week, hold yourself accountable, and hold yourself to the flame on days that I'm not in your ear discussing it with you. So, I don't want you to miss any posts. Turn on your notifications and follow both accounts. With that being said, let's get back to the truth about fitting in. Trying to fit in is exhausting. Mentally, physically, overall, it's just completely, absolutely exhausting. There's been times where I've come home from a long day of practice, school, all those things, and I'd sit down, lay in my bed, and I'd be completely drained of all my energy, right? I was trying to fit in on all these trends, these timelines. I would try to copy what worked for others and not what worked for me. It drains your battery fast because none of it is who you are. None of it is what you want. And I think we need to learn that we can't do things to please other people. And let me tell you, there's a ton of people pleasers in the world. People who can't say no for the life of them, right? They, for some reason, feel embarrassed to say no. It's hard for them. And at the end of the day, they end up doing things that they don't want to do just to please others. And keyword there, keywords, what you don't want to do. Why would I want to do something that I don't want to do? It's a giant waste of my time and a giant waste of my energy. And that's the most important thing here, right? My energy, maintaining my energy to have it and to, save it for things that I actually want and need. So let's brainstorm a little bit. Why do we do it then? If we don't want to do it, why do we say yes to everything? I believe that it's purely out of acceptance. We want to have acceptance from everyone. We want to be accepted by everyone. And I think a big, big part of this now, especially in today's generation, is social media. I mean, you hear it all the time. There's so many different people and comparisons going around every single day, every single minute on social media. It makes people think, oh, I have to be doing this. I have to do my hair this way. I have to be working out like this person. Social media has made it almost impossible to escape comparison, especially in today's day and age. That's the job of social media, right? They're trying to distract you from the real world. This is a problem that we've had for not just since the social media era, since before it. I always think back of the episode of Full House where DJ is not eating and she posts cuts out pictures of a model on her magazine just so she can be fit for a party and doesn't eat, starves herself so that she can look like those models. But in reality, social media amplifies this same concept by 30, probably even more. So I'm not telling you that this is a new discovery that we've had. And I just obviously use DJ and Full House as an example. But when you go and look at your Instagram page or your social media and you see a really fit jacked dude or jacked girl and you're like, wow, I want to be like her or be like them, right? Just think of how many young people that's exposed to as well, right? You're just seeing it. You might not be affected by it because you understand that that's not how life works. But these young people are seeing these pictures and comparing themselves to who they are. And they're like, man, I'm not good enough. And they start to change who they are, right? They want to fit in, they want to be accepted into society. And I think that it's important to know that society doesn't know what's best for you. You know what's best for you, right? Yes, it's very good to have those goals and want to be fit and jacked and crazy athletic and, just look good. It's important to have those goals, but you have to be realistic and say where I am right now is not I'm not going to get there overnight, right? DJ wanted to be fit and lean within like a week or something like that. So you have to kind of reel back and just understand that you have to work hard for those things. And I just use body image as an example because I feel like it's just such a easy topic to talk about, and it's still a trend over the past years, whether it be in the 1900s, late 1900s, to now almost 2026. So it's not just social media that amplifies this, body dysmorphia, whatever you want to call it. It's everything, right? It's always been here. Now we just have a device at our fingertips so we can scroll and make us feel more guilty about ourselves, or just more conscious of, what's going on, and comparing ourselves to other people that have a different lifestyle, have a different body, have a different anything, right? Everybody's different. Everybody has their own problems, but social media makes it hard to throw those comparisons away because it's right there. It's always right there. The next page, the next swipe, post, whatever, is always something, and humans just compare themselves to it. My advice to you is the only way that we escape those comparisons is to follow and have people on social media use social media for an educational and motivational purposes, right? So listening to this podcast, following this podcast, liking the posts, obviously, following along to people and accounts that are going to help you get better, right? And instead of following accounts that make you doom scroll or make you laugh. And I know there's still accounts on there that, it's good to follow some so you get a good laugh, send reels back and forth to your friend. But by the time you know it, you'll be on Instagram for an hour, and you're just wasting an hour of your life doom scrolling and probably comparing yourself to people on Instagram with unrealistic, comparisons, and you're just gonna feel bad about yourself doing it. And another topic that I want to touch on briefly is instant gratification. It runs our generation. Everyone wants to feel validated now, and even if that means abandoning who they really are, right? That's part of, the people pleasers. They abandon who they are just to feel, validation from other people. Who cares what other people have to say about you, right? We don't shouldn't have to feel validated by them. We should only be able to feel validated by ourselves, okay? You should be proud of yourself. You shouldn't look for acceptance and validation from other people because they are not you. They are not on the same journey you are. It's not worth your time or aggravation or your energy, right? Learning how to slow down and accept that instant gratification is only for momentary wins, and realize that you need time to perfect things. You need time to succeed. You need time to have value in the things that you do. It's life changing, right? Instant gratification is an insane high that we feel in the moment, but it's gone in 10 seconds later, right? So why am I going to search for, 10 seconds of a high of some stupid, not important thing rather than a lifetime, or, a couple days of gratification, rather than, those 10 seconds. I'd rather those days, if it takes a little bit longer to get them, rather than that 10 seconds of instant gratification, right? It's more valuable, it's longer lasting, you feel better, and, that also falls into social media. And a big part of the reason why this generation wants to seek instant gratification is because social media. It's so easy to scroll, look at something for 2 seconds, not like it, and swipe, right? It's so easy to do that. And there's no such thing as attention span. We lose it because we just are on our phones all day. When somebody texts, we get an instant reply rather than waiting for a phone call later on that night, right? It's an instant society that we live in, and it's a problem. We need to slow down. We try to rush too much, and our lives will flash by before we even know it, right? So slowing down, not looking for instant gratification in every single little thing that you do. Okay? I will admit, it is nice to have my packages delivered next day. I use Amazon. I love Amazon. But at the same time, it's not something that we should use for everything. We don't need to go fast when I'm sitting down talking to my grandparents. They're slow people, they're old people, right? You shouldn't go fast with them because that's not the pace that they operate at. And if I'm being quite frank, life goes fast enough. So why am I going to speed it up? Why am I going to try and make things go faster than they should? Right? It's crazy. That's how people say that their life flashes by them like this. I mean, I don't know if you could hear that, but I just snapped. So slow down. Instant gratification should not run your life. And really like observe, take a step back and say, what do I do on a daily basis that's instant gratification, that I feel a nice sense of, gratitude for in that moment, and then it's gone really fast. Think about it. Try to eliminate those things in your day and see if you can slow down a little bit throughout your daily life, throughout your process, right? Whatever it may be. Slow down. That's enough about talking about social media. So we're going to move on to the next part of this podcast. What is the cost of fitting in? The cost of fitting in is losing your identity, losing who you are as a person, losing your roots. And I see this a lot within especially younger people, because they're still trying to fit in, they're still trying to feel that acceptance from other people, and in the mix of it, when you grow up, you start to try to fit into these different characteristics, these different people. You forget who you were, you forget your roots and who you were as a child, your values, all those things. You lose them because you're so obsessed with trying to fit in with everybody else's goals and values of their life. And it's important that we realize that that's really hard to do. You can't do that. One, it's mentally draining, and your battery is going to be really low, and you just need to learn that not everybody is going to like you. That's fine, right? But I would like you better if you were somebody that I met. I'd like you better if you were true to yourself. I'd like you better if you were who you said you were and you weren't trying to change every time you met somebody, right? I'm gonna give you a little backstory. I Going into college, like there's obviously you experience a lot of different types of people in college and in life in general. But when I walked into college, I remember like I was trying to fit in a little bit. I was always the outcast, and that was my number one thing. I always wanted to fit in. And the problem I found was I'd walk into a room, and depending on who was in the room, I would try to be like them, or I'd talk like them, use the same slang like them. And what that caused was, over time, like I'd catch myself, I'm like, why am I doing this? This isn't who I am. I don't talk like that. And I don't use those words, like whatever it is. So I kind of lost who I was, how I spoke. I realized it in the verbal aspect rather than like who I was as a person. But, you when you do that, you create different versions of yourself to be in every room until none of those versions feel real, right? Imagine if I had created 20, and that's just a small amount. Imagine if I created 20 different versions of myself who talks to 20 different people in different ways. And I think it's important to know how to talk to people, but I don't think you should change who you are just to speak with someone, or change how your tone of voice is going to be when you talk to somebody. So keep that in mind. Like, that's also part of losing your identity. You don't want to change the way you speak. That's who you are. It's who you are as a person. The way I'm speaking to you on this podcast is how I would speak to you in person. And you don't believe me? I'd recommend you go ask some of the kids that I coach, because they know this is how I talk to them. And this is me, this is the real me, giving them real advice. Um, I'm reading a book, and it's called The Art of Being Alone, and it talks about just how you should embrace solitude and being alone in certain points of your life, embracing it, not being like dwelling over it. And the quote says, "In the race for people's acceptance and love, you end up losing yourself." And that kind of channels back to what I was saying before about how we search for acceptance. We want to be, loved by other people, so we change who we are to try to fit that mold. And I'm here to tell you that that's wrong, right? You got to stay true to yourself, embrace your differences, and really just stay tuned in with who you are and the life you are living, your values, all those things. Like, that's super super important, because you only live with yourself. You don't have to live with everybody else. You're always with yourself. You're always with your mind, you're always with your thoughts. You know who you are better than everybody else does. So don't change yourself to become a different version and then be unrecognizable to your own self when you look in the mirror, right? I don't want you to stand across from yourself in the mirror and be like, who the hell is that? I want you to know who that is. I want you to, you should know yourself better than any person on this world, right? The only person that knows you better is God. And I think that's just the biggest thing. Like, don't lose your identity. It's not worth trying to fit in. It's not. I said it a little bit before, but you have to learn how to embrace your differences, right? This is your life. This is your timing, your story. So you need to take advantage of it. My whole life, I've always been different than everybody else. I was just a girl playing baseball, right? I was completely different from everyone else. And if I would have just been very negative about it and I didn't embrace it and didn't trust myself and didn't follow my path, right? I would have listened to everybody else and probably done something else with my life, right? But now that I was able to embrace my difference and realize that the difference is what sets you apart from people and what makes you stronger from other people, it makes you stronger than what you were yesterday, right? Having that confidence, having that courage to be somebody different is a life lesson that you won't ever forget and won't ever, live without. It's important to stick to your guns, embrace who you are and be proud of it, right? You need to be proud of who you are because being proud of who you are and being yourself will earn respect from people just because, nowadays, especially authenticity is very rare. And I think that's something that, this generation struggles with too is being authentic, being their authentic self, right? And that's part of not embracing their differences. Everybody's afraid to come out of their shell and be who they want to be and have a good reputation, right? Everybody's afraid because they don't want to make a mistake. They're worried about what people think and they're worried what's going to happen when they show the world who they truly are. So, hear that again. Authenticity is rare. So if you find a authentic person, an authentic friend, keep them. They're a good person. And I encourage you to keep on trying to find the authenticity inside people because the more people you are around that are real, that are authentic, are going to make you more real. And you are going to find who you are easier because you are around those people, right? Your identity is bigger than your imitation, is so much greater than imitation. I will take who you are 10 out of 10 times rather than who you're trying to be any day. And it's just simply because everybody's different. I want to understand who you are as a person. I want to, you know, I want you to be different. I want to be different. I don't want to be fake. I don't want to be phony. I don't want to, copy somebody else, right? Be original. When you learn to be original, you are able to create a different world and you're able to just completely be who you are. You're in control of your life, and people will be drawn to you because you're you. You're not somebody that is fake. You're not somebody that's trying to be somebody else, right? Originality is so important, whether it's in the workspace, whether it's just in how you talk or, how you go about your things, right? I'm original because I'm one of the first people in my friend group to do a podcast. Like I don't know anybody that's ever done a podcast in my immediate friend group. And it's cool because it's something that I'm passionate about and it's something that they, maybe were scared to do or didn't really know what to talk about, right? And so this is just a version of me expressing how to be original. And that's why like certain products sell better because they're an original thought, they're original product. Nobody's made it up before, nobody's copied it before, and that's why they sell and those companies, boom with money within the year of sales because it's an original product, it's a useful product, and there's nothing like it. So just try to be more original in your day to day and you'll see the world around you start to change. I encourage you to choose what aligns with your values, not with the crowd. Act from clarity, not pressure, right? Do these things out of your core values. They're so important to understand what your values are. Redirect the comparison into inspiration, right? Use those things. Don't compare yourself, inspire yourself. Whether you see a picture of a Instagram model and they look fit and jacked, use that as inspiration, use that as a visualization of to who you want to be, and use that and grind every day to get to that model or that, fitness influencer, whatever you want, right? Use it. And just make sure you don't, you know, go away from your key values. There was a time in my life where I was separated from my environment, and I was forced. I had no other way to go but to go back to my roots and put myself back together again, put myself first, more importantly, and it changed my life. It got me back to my roots, just because the environment forced me to. So I was lucky enough to do that, and that's how, things don't happen for a reason. I believe that there's certain things that happen in your life for a certain reason, and that season of my life was to force me to get back to my roots. And what I had felt was an instant shift to kind of feeling and understanding who I was supposed to be again, and getting back to the person that I was when I was maybe like 12, feeling that kind of same thought process, those values, those understanding of like who I was, and just getting back to that. That was so big for me, and just it made me feel like a complete whole version of myself, right? But I wouldn't have gotten back to, that person if I didn't put myself first, if I didn't work my ass off every single day, and surround myself with people who brought me back to the right to the real world, to the real me. And I think that that's a very important part of getting back to yourself, is just surrounding yourself with the people who remind you of who you are. And it's a good feeling too when you have that kind of support system. So I just encourage you to stop, think about your younger self, think about your values when you were younger, and slow down. Really analyze it, take it in, and see, are you on that same path as you were as a kid, right? Do you have those same goals? And really embrace them. And if you're far away from them, put yourself first. Do everything you can to get back to it. Work your ass off, right? Because nothing comes easy. Nothing comes without work. You have to do work to get results. And if you're not willing to do that work, you're going to get farther and farther and farther away from your core values. So I don't want you to get away from your core values, right? Like, get back to your roots. Stop trying to feel accepted by everybody else, right? That's the whole point of this episode. Stop trying to feel accepted. Stop trying to fit in, right? Fitting in is not cool. And no matter how many people tell you you need to fit in, you need to fit in, like, you don't. I promise you, you don't. I'm a prime example of why you don't need to fit in. You grow when you are not trying to fit in. You grow outside of those environments. And it's so much more important that you get back to your roots. You grow from those things that are trying to hold you back, and you just overcome them, and you just keep taking these bigger and bigger steps to your life, right? And just become who you're supposed to be, not who people want you to be, right? You don't gain that respect by fitting in, you gain it by feeling real, by being real. And you can't do that with getting away from your roots, or, trying to be somebody that you're not. Like, you have to be who you are, be real, be authentic, be original, right? Whatever you want to call it. Then you'll gain respect from other people. They know, they can sense when somebody's being phony. They can sense when somebody's just trying to fit in. And I think it's just important that you realize that it's stupid. You're fooling yourself, and it's not something you should go down. I promise you, it's not a journey that you want to go down. And I just encourage you not to do that. So just work back to your roots. Ask yourself how you were, who you were when you were that 12-year-old version of yourself. Analyze your goals. Even though you were younger, it simplifies it even more, because when we're young, we have smaller thoughts, and it's just easier. We don't have all these complicated comparisons that we're trying to worry about all the time, right? So just compare. I want you to compare yourself to your younger self, and that's the only kind of comparison you should be doing. Again, you don't gain respect by fitting in, you gain it by being real. I want you to just ask yourself another question: where am I performing instead of living? Just be honest with yourself, right? And then choose one thing this week that's for you, that's going to help you put yourself first, and just help you get back to those roots and understand where you're at. You weren't built to blend in. You were built to stand out, be loud and proud about it, be unapologetic about it, and intentionally stand out, right? We're not humans that are supposed to live inside some kind of mold and, that copy and paste every single day. We see the same people every single day. It's not supposed to be copy and paste. You're not supposed to fit into a mold, okay? I want you to be a better version of yourself. I want you to be somebody different. I wouldn't have made this podcast if I didn't think that too many people in this generation, in this world, are trying to fit the mold of who they should become, what they should do, and just be like everybody else. I don't know about you, but if you're a high achiever like me, I don't want to be like everybody else. I actually want to be the complete opposite of everybody else because everybody else is boring, everybody else is average, and I'm not about to be average with them. Okay? Chase greatness every single day. That's what this podcast is about. Living beyond limits, right? Going above and beyond every single day, chasing your dreams until you're proud. That's all that matters. Don't try to fit in. Don't try to be accepted by people. Just be who you want to be. Don't stop until you're proud and keep on living. Keep on dreaming. That's all I have for today. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys got something valuable out of this. If you ever have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM. And if you want to work one-on-one with me and work on your personal situation, I'd be more than happy to. Just, again, shoot me a DM, hit me up, and we'll get to work. All right? See you guys next time.